Buying a car is one thing, but living with it every single day is a completely different experience. Because when the excitement of a new car wears off, what really matters are the small things. How it feels in traffic, how comfortable it is on long drives, how often you have to charge it or service it. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Not just the specs or the marketing claims, but what it's actually like to own the 2026 BMW i4 every day. From commuting to road trips, from charging to maintenance, and even the little things owners love and sometimes complain about. So if you're thinking about buying the BMW i4, this is the real ownership experience you should know. Daily commuting experience. Let's start with the way most people use their cars, daily commuting. And this is actually where the BMW i4 really shines. The first thing you notice is how smooth and quiet the car feels in city traffic. Because it's electric, there's no engine vibration, no gear shifts, and no noise when you accelerate. You just press the pedal and the car moves instantly. That instant torque makes the i4 feel surprisingly responsive when you're pulling away from traffic lights or merging into busy streets. Even small movements of the accelerator feel effortless, and in stop-and-go traffic, the experience is very relaxing. The regenerative braking system also helps here. Once you get used to it, you can drive using mostly one pedal, slowing down simply by lifting your foot off the accelerator. Parking is also easier than you might expect for a luxury sedan. The i4 has excellent parking cameras, 360-degree sensors, and optional automated parking features, so maneuvering in tight city parking spaces isn't stressful. Even though the car looks sporty and low, the visibility is actually quite good. Overall, for everyday commuting, the i4 feels refined, quiet, and surprisingly easy to drive. Real fuel economy. Of course, with an electric car, we're not talking about fuel economy anymore. We're talking about range and energy efficiency. Depending on the version, the BMW i4 can officially travel around 300 miles on a full charge, but real-world range always depends on how you drive. In normal daily commuting, mixed city and highway driving, many owners report getting roughly 260 to 300 miles. That's more than enough for most people's weekly driving, and for many owners, charging becomes something they barely think about. Because if you charge the car overnight at home, every morning you wake up with a full tank. Public fast charging is also improving quickly across the US, Canada, and Australia, so longer trips are becoming easier than they were just a few years ago. Still, like most EVs, cold weather and aggressive driving can reduce range, but overall the efficiency of the i4 is considered very competitive for a luxury electric sedan. Long-distance comfort. Now let's talk about road trips, because luxury cars should feel comfortable not just for 20 minutes, but for hours on the highway. And this is another area where the BMW i4 performs well. First, the seats. BMW has always been known for making supportive seats, and the i4 continues that tradition. They're firm enough to support your back on long drives, but still comfortable for everyday use. The cabin is also extremely quiet. Without a gasoline engine running, the only sounds you really notice are wind and road noise, and BMW has done a good job insulating the cabin, so highway cruising feels calm and refined. The suspension also strikes a good balance. It's sporty enough to keep the car stable through corners, but still soft enough to absorb bumps and rough pavement. And if you choose the adaptive suspension, the ride becomes even smoother on long trips. Add in the large curved infotainment display, high-quality materials, and ambient lighting, and the cabin feels very modern and premium.
Reliability experience. Now let's talk about something every buyer cares about: reliability. Electric vehicles are actually simpler than gasoline cars. There's no engine oil, no traditional gearbox, and fewer mechanical components overall. That means fewer parts that can wear out. So far, the BMW i4 has built a reputation for being fairly reliable among luxury EVs. Because the car shares some engineering with the BMW 4 Series platform, BMW already had a solid foundation to work with. The electric motors themselves are generally very durable, and most issues owners report tend to be related to software updates or infotainment glitches, something that's fairly common with modern tech-heavy cars. Overall, though, the i4 doesn't have widespread reliability complaints, and for many owners, the experience has been surprisingly trouble-free. Maintenance experience. Maintenance is another area where EV ownership can feel different because compared to traditional BMW models, the i4 actually requires much less regular servicing. There's no oil to change, no exhaust system, no spark plugs, so routine maintenance usually involves things like brake fluid, cabin air filters, tire rotations. Regenerative braking also means the brake pads can last much longer than in a normal gasoline car. That said, BMW is still a premium brand, so if something does need repair outside warranty, parts and labor can still be expensive. But in general, the i4 tends to be simpler to maintain than most traditional BMWs. Now, let's talk about the honest pros and cons, because no car is perfect. What owners love: the driving experience. Even though it's electric, the i4 still feels like a BMW. It's quick, responsive, and enjoyable to drive. Owners also love the quiet cabin, the strong acceleration, and the modern interior design. And of course, the convenience of charging at home is something many EV owners say they never want to give up. But there are a few complaints. Some owners say the infotainment system can feel complicated at first. BMW's menus are powerful, but they can take time to learn. Others mention that public charging infrastructure still varies depending on where you live. And because the i4 is a premium car, the purchase price is still higher than many mainstream EVs. So while the ownership experience is excellent, it's definitely positioned as a luxury electric vehicle. So what is it actually like to own the 2026 BMW i4 every day? In many ways, it's exactly what you'd hope for from a modern luxury EV. It's smooth in traffic, comfortable on long drives, quiet, refined, and packed with technology. And thanks to electric power, maintenance can actually be simpler than traditional luxury cars. At the same time, it still delivers something many EVs struggle with: the classic BMW driving experience. That's really what makes the i4 special. But now I want to hear from you. If you were shopping for an electric car, would you choose the BMW i4, or would you go with something like a Tesla Model 3, Hyundai Ioniq 6, or Polestar 2? Let me know in the comments.